ice. Fantasy dreams ain't always nice. Crunching numbers late at night, seeking that glory shining bright.
Welcome into That Damn Fantasy Show. We had some more time on that song. We could have rolled it a little more. Well, here's the thing. We're in a new studio this week, which is not really a new studio for this show. We used to do this show when it was just the fantasy show in this studio. Now, we moved over to Rogue for a little bit, and then Rogue said Steve doesn't shower, and he yells out ethnic slurs, so we have to leave. And not even ones that are current. Like, he's mad about the ancient Greeks. I don't know what's going on, but no.
Those damn Aztecs.
They're taking our jobs. No. but no. So we're over here. Garrett Ross, who's my producer every single day for hours and hours, now gets me for an extra hour a week. And a happier person on earth you could not find. Absolutely not. To do a fantasy football show. Fantasy football, now he's an NFL fan, but he could give a shit less about fantasy football. So maybe Steve will be able to recruit and adopt another player.
That'd be good.
We like to. We did it. We've done it before.
We have.
We've done it before. We can do it again. I'm not
It's
worried
hard to
about it.
resist the temptation of competing with and against us.
Yes.
And the lure of fantasy football eventually grabs you if you hear about it enough.
We know a lot about fantasy football. Are we experts? That's for other people to decide. There's no board certification for this. I think we're experts. I think that we know this pretty well. We've both won leagues multiple times. I won our league a couple years ago, 2 years ago. And the trophy sat right there.
That's right.
For a year so that people could see it. And I feel that should be kind of, a bonus points for me because now it's just sitting in some guy's living room.
It was sent to our reigning champion, John, last week, so he has it now.
He didn't even live in town. So, he's going to have to send it back.
He'll bring it back with him, yep.
Yeah.
But, just talking about fantasy football and just how people get into it. I was in Chicago this weekend with some friends, and they are not a sports family at all. But we were getting ready to leave, fly back Sunday, we were sitting around. And my friend's wife, who we stayed with, all of a sudden is at her laptop talking about her fantasy team. And she had just some random work one. Some people at work got one. And she's like, yeah, what the hell? I'll do it. So I think a lot of people just get in it casually that way. So that was pretty funny. She was putting a pretty good lineup together. So
there's a lot of people who get mad. Like, it's kind of like the new Taylor Swift NFL fans. I'm happy for people to come to football however they come to football.
Yeah.
I'm not mad that people like football because Taylor Swift is there now. I'm mad that they like the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs didn't need Taylor Swift's help to be any better. I'm not hating on the Chiefs. Like, I felt indifferent about the Chiefs my entire life until recently. They just got too much good going for them. Like, could she have dated someone, say, on the Cowboys? Like, that would have helped me out more.
who would you partner her up with on the Cowboys?
Oh, God. Here's the thing. Right now.
Is Jake Ferguson single?
Yeah, maybe Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a little younger. I mean, she can date a younger guy.
Yeah.
I want, here's what I want for Taylor Swift. I want her to be happy. I want her to have someone who's mature and loves her. And seems like things are going well with Travis, so that's fine. Maybe I wouldn't have paired her up with Jake Ferguson, but who I thought would have been good for would have been Leighton Vander Esch, and then he retired. So
I don't know about that one. Yeah. I wasn't a Vander Esch fan.
Yeah, so I don't know, it's fine. And of course, Cowboy fans have been through it with the celebrity girlfriend of the quarterback before.
That's true.
With Tony Romo, with Carrie Underwood, and with Jessica Simpson.
Jessica Simpson, that random callback to her 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, a little longer than 15, but yeah, I mean she
45
had
minutes.
Yeah, but people believe that the Cowboys lost because of Jessica Simpson, which Cabo was kind of her fault, but I don't like in again. It's neither here nor there. So, but that's just from two now long-suffering Cowboy fans.
Yes.
And the first thing I'm going to say on our segment, which is, the hell was that? The hell was that, Cowboys? Here's the thing. Fantasy-wise, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson, that's the only thing you can play.
Yep.
I would play Rico Dowdle during a bye week or an injury situation. I would say go ahead and drop Zeke Elliott unless you just really need a running back.
I think so. He had 3 carries, I think, on Sunday, and they keep saying that Dalvin Cook is getting close to being activated. I think he'll be activated for maybe not. They play Thursday this week, so I don't know if the timing's right for this one, but definitely by week 5, I think he'll be activated. You got to try something. They're 28th in the league in rushing or something like that. But yeah, you're right. Dak, who didn't have a great game. CD, who seems frustrated.
Now, Dak rallied to have a good fantasy game, but early on, of course, here's the thing. Everybody's going to blame this on Dak. He's about 40th in line for blame for this team right now.
Yeah.
In fact, I put none of it on him.
No.
The Jones family has gotten to a point where, and look, Dak's fantasy value is lower now than it would have been just a year ago when he had an MVP caliber season. I put this on the Jones family for doing this thing where they pay all the money to the quarterback, and then because they don't run their team like the Eagles or the Rams or the 49ers or somebody like that, then their whole thing is, all right, well, you go do it.
Yeah.
You wanted this money, now you go do it. And it's just not like they've got to modernize their operation.
Yeah.
They have never been good at the salary cap, ever. Steven's terrified of it. Jerry doesn't understand how it works. And it creates this logjam of, and then you get this thing into like deadlines make deals. I love, like, Jerry likes negotiating, and he could save himself a lot of time and just do this when it's time.
The problem now I'm noticing with Jerry is as some other people in certain fields, he's gotten to the point where he will not admit when he's made a mistake. It's never his fault. He's the only one. He's the smartest one in the room. He knows more about this, that, and that. And
he keeps calling back to 1989.
Yeah, that used to be the case. Absolutely. Yeah. He did well, but we're at a point now where good franchises are run differently than that. But anyway, let's get to the fantasy.
Yeah, the hell was that? Do you have any?
Which game? So
players, you know.
Yeah, so we were in Chicago on Sunday waiting for a rain delay to go watch the Cubs.
Okay.
So we were in a bar watching the Bears with Bears fans.
Yeah. Best sports town in America.
Yeah.
Chicago.
So it was fun. They were getting frustrated. The player that comes to mind because of that is DeAndre Swift. And the Bears, if you've seen it on social media now, they're at the goal line. They run the power sweep or something, and instantly 4 of the Bears linemen are on the ground looking back at the Colts defensive lineman chasing down DeAndre Swift. They obviously didn't get a touchdown. The Bears lose. Swift had a horrible game. Roschon Johnson now is a hot pickup because they're thinking he might be the one. So that's the first one that pops in my head. And going back to the Cowboy game, the rushing game, and just Dak is going to constantly be in trouble if teams don't respect the running game, which they do not respect it right now. So they're just teeing off, and you know I don't know, it's frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one more. The hell was that? And that is a guy I have on all 3 of my fantasy teams, who the first 2 weeks has done well for me, and that is Rashid Shaheed. Who goose-egged this week. So I say to Rashid Shaheed and the Saints, the hell was that?
Well,
and that was credit to the Eagles, but the hell was that?
This has kind of been the year of the kicker, and in the leagues that I run, I've juiced the kicker a little bit. So Fairbairn from the Texans has been lighting it up, and he got 1 point. And in one league I
also had him,
in another league I'm in that I don't run, they give a negative point for a field goal missed, which I do not like. So in that league, he got me 0 because he made the extra point, but then he missed a field goal. And
I give a negative point for a field goal missed under 40 yards in my league.
that's more fair.
They should do that.
Yeah, I don't know how long.
Once you're about like, I mean, and here's the thing. I juice the kickers as well because now like you guys kicking 50 and 60 yarders.
Yes.
I'm getting like if you're kicking a 60-yard field goal, you're getting an extra half point or so. You're like. I might have to move the goal line because 50-yarders have become so regular, but I might give it extra. Like you might get 4 points now for a 60-yard field goal because, and Brandon Aubrey. Okay, that's the other. Like that's the cowboy you need. Here's the thing. I've got him on one team. I will drop a player who when they get to their bye isn't good to pick up a second kicker so I can keep him. Because he is just money.
He's the only exception to that. And that's an excellent point. Usually a kicker, along with a defense, you can stream.
Yeah.
And kickers, I'll typically pick one that has a late bye week, so I can put it in there, don't have to worry about it. But every once in a while, you got to make that decision. You know, don't want to get rid of the kicker. But he's one you hold on to because he's automatic double figures every week.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm definitely doing that. So Steve, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this week and who you think is good. This is not a great week for games and matchups. Like there's not a lot of stuff. So this is going to be a really difficult week for daily fantasy.
Quick quiz.
Okay.
Which game do you think has the highest over/under for point total?
Definitely not Cowboys and Giants on Thursday.
Nope.
Who do the Chiefs play?
It's not the Chiefs.
Not the Chiefs?
Nope. They play the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, so that's
one of the lower ones, actually.
Yeah, I would say so.
The highest one at 50.5. It's the only game for the first time in the 4 weeks of this season that there's only one game projected to be over 50 points. So at 50.5, the Commanders at the Cardinals.
Oh, well, that's two good offenses.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the Cliff Kingsbury Bowl.
Yeah.
Commanders, Jay Daniels lit it up last night. Garrett is a Commanders fan sitting in the room. He's very excited that his college quarterback, LSU, I mean, this is like, it's a dream come. Like, I remember like texting with him on draft day, and like I don't know if you can tell when somebody's crying in a text, but like I think he was crying tears of joy in a text that this has happened. This would have been like Jordan Travis replacing Dak Prescott to me because Jordan Travis is like a son to me, even though we've never met. Like I would care for him like a son.
So the lowest point total at 36.5 is Tennessee at Miami.
Yeah.
And I agree. That's Miami. They may start Tyler Huntley this week, so he's a hot pickup in case you need a random quarterback this week. You mentioned the Chiefs. Chiefs at the Chargers, 39.5. Another low one, Cleveland at Las Vegas, 37.5. So they're all – it's a bad slate of games, so you really got to look and pick to see.
Here's the thing. We are in a cycle in the NFL. So everybody's spreading it out, and now the defenses have started to figure it out.
Yeah.
So you heard Mel Kiper say a really dumb thing that went viral all over the football world, where he said 2 high safeties should be banned by the league. Here's the thing, Mel. There's a way to beat the 2 high safeties, and it involves running the ball. So this might be a year where we see running backs, especially down the stretch, as teams who have been like, look, we're not like the defenses have figured this out. We have to make some more innovation. We're going to have to run the ball more. Yeah. And so running backs might see a tick up. I'm not saying we're back to the glory days where the first round of your draft is going to be all running backs next year like it used to be, like it was all running backs. But the defenses have figured these spread offenses out. So you better have a mobile quarterback who can do a lot of things if you want to see like those big air yards and all those things, because air yards are down across the league. There's a lot of checkdowns. There's a lot of those things. So there's going to be a 5,000-yard passer this year or somebody close to it. That's going to happen, but there's not going to be 4 of them. No. There's not going to be that. So look for some of those things in the nuances and changes because, while Mel Kiper likes an NFL that, 2 high safeties don't exist, well, run the damn ball.
Yeah.
Like, this is a great opportunity for running backs. So you might see an uptick in that, especially from teams that like really have crappy quarterbacks right now. Like Will Levis is a disaster in Tennessee, and they just kind of have to let him figure it out. They traded Malik Willis, who's doing better in Green Bay. Yeah, he's and Jordan Love's going to be back. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be a weird. It's going to be a weird year, especially early on, for numbers that you thought you were going to get.
But for quarterbacks, so yeah, Jaden Daniels I love. Regular season-long fantasy, I love him in DFS. Kyler Murray. I do think so. So Derek Carr last week was the hot pickup, and I picked him up in a league, and I started him over Anthony Richardson, who didn't have a good game either. But Derek Carr didn't do great. I do think he'll bounce back. They're playing the Falcons this week. Trevor Lawrence, you got to bench him. He was drafted pretty highly this year. I don't know what's going on there. Is Doug Peterson overrated as a coach?
Doug Peterson going to get. He's. I don't know if he's the like Mike McCarthy is the biggest odds on to get fired first, but Doug Peterson I believe is third.
Yeah,
and he might have jumped up after that last night.
Sam Darnold looked great. Andy Dalton.
I did not play it. I picked him up, and then I was like, look, I'm not going to play him, but I need another quarterback. And
so,
mistake, I should have played him. Wouldn't have made a difference. I still would have lost.
We could look back probably 15, 20 years, and when a new quarterback comes in for a struggling offense, that first game, there's almost always a bounce.
Yeah.
So this week, the Panthers play the Bengals. Bengals are looking for a win. They're 0-3. But Dalton has something to prove there. He used to play for Cincinnati. But, again, Dalton might be a good pickup. Keep an eye on Justin Herbert. He's got the bad ankle that he re-injured. They could sit him this week because then they have a bye. They have one of the early byes, week 5.
They should have sat him last week.
They should have, yeah. So keep an eye on that one. So those are the quarterbacks. Running back, Saquon is doing great for a dirty Eagle team. You know,
is anyone surprised?
No.
Here's the thing. When they did that, Garrett's a Commanders fan. We talked about it. And I was like, Garrett, this is bad. Like, this is not good for the rest of the teams in this division because unlike the Giants, who are run by, I'm sure, a cabal of preschoolers. Like, that's what it seems to me to be like. I feel like Brian Daboll goes upstairs and is like, hey, I would like a quarterback. And they're like, Daniel is tall. He is tall. Let's go. And they, like, because of that, like, they're not good. Like, they're not good. And Saquon Barkley, I remember a couple years ago, I was at a Cowboys-Giants game. Saquon Barkley had a 40-yard run. Then they didn't give him the ball again for like 15 straight like real minutes. Wow. And they threw 3 like he ran him down and they pushed him out of bounds at like the 7-yard line. And it's like, oh, hey, here we go. And then they threw 3 passes and kicked a field goal. Then on the next drive, they threw 3 passes, incomplete, it was over. And then I was like, did he get hurt? Like, he's in the game, so he's not hurt. What are you doing? And it's like they forgot that he was there. And to me, like, when he was with the Giants, they'd be like, hey, what car do you want to take to work? The 1982 Honda Civic or this Lexus? And they're like, I mean, the Lexus is just so fancy. I don't want to hurt it. And then they drove the Civic, and you're like, no, drive the Lexus as long as it runs. You're going to really enjoy it more. The Eagles, they're like, no, we're driving.
Well, if I have Devin Singletary on my fantasy team, I am starting him without a doubt on Thursday night against the Cowboys because they can't stop the run. So
it might be. This also might be a game where Tyrone Tracy. Yeah.
The Tampa Bay situation is one to watch. Rashad White, I think, is still the starter.
A little banged up.
Bucky Irving, who's someone I tried to get on every team because I'd read enough positive stuff about him, looked great. So even if he isn't the starter, he's going to get a lot of action there. So I would definitely
catches the ball too.
Catches the ball. Najee Harris. Steelers are 3-0. As much as I hate to say that, he was banged up. They're saying he's going to be fine.
look, I think Justin Fields is the quarterback there until he hits the wall. I think that system's really good for him. I think it's going to be good for Najee Harris. I think it's going to be good for a couple players. Maybe not passing right away, but Arthur Smith doesn't like that. So it's going to work out. And I would put especially if I have a super flex league, Justin Fields would go on my if I had him on the team, he probably would be my starter, but he's a super flex for sure.
Tomlin brought Arthur Smith in for a reason.
Yeah.
He likes that offense. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
So, I would play Fields.
I like Justin Fields. I'm not a hater.
Seattle, Kenneth Walker, I don't know his status.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, man, Charbonnet is a great. In dynasty leagues where you're drafting to keep, or, leading up to those drafts, I would have been saying get Charbonnet. Because I think next year definitely, he's the guy. But if Kenneth Walker comes back this week, I don't know what the split's going to be. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Charbonnet is the hot hand.
Okay, now remember, Mike McDonald comes from Michigan. Michigan is a team that likes to have 2 running backs and likes to run the ball, and they need to protect Geno Smith because he's not the best. So I mean, he's okay. He's just okay, but.
And then receivers. So if you're using the Sleeper app, I'm sure everybody knows this, but if you go to players available, you can go to trending, and that's a great way to look to see who are other people on. To get. Juwan Jennings is hot. I don't know.
Picked him up in one league last week and should have picked him up in the other. But I was like, I don't want to draft Ladd McConkey. Well, guess what? I've got a waiver claim in for him right now, and Ladd McConkey's getting dropped. As much as I like the long-term potential of Ladd McConkey, I'm willing to let it go.
Yeah, McConkey long-term has more value.
I'm willing to let it go until this Juwan Jennings thing stops. But Deebo Samuel's going to be out again this week, I think. So. It worked out well. So
he's proven he needs more snaps, even when all the main receivers are healthy. But I got him in our main league.
Kittle's out, so that helps him too. Yeah,
I got him in our main league, and I scored 211 points this week. With him. Cole Kmet had a great game. I think as Caleb Williams progresses, he's going to learn more to appreciate that dump off and that safety valve.
Well, he was at USC. They don't use the tight end.
I know.
But
he's got to learn that, and I think he learned that this week, Cole Kmet.
Well, and Rome Odunze appears to be the guy he likes the most.
Yeah.
And now that's deeper leagues.
Yeah.
But DJ Moore is going to be the dude. There's going to be a point in the year where he and DJ Moore get really locked in, and I think that's coming, but it's going to be some growing pains because defensive have them figured out, mostly because their offensive line's not good.
I already mentioned Roschon Johnson. He's going to get more reps. In Green Bay, Marshawn Lloyd was put on IR. Josh Jacobs can get banged up. So Emmanuel Wilson is the hot pickup right now. People are putting in waiver claims for him. In Detroit, Sam Laporta, who really hadn't had a great start to the season. He was ranked 1 or 2 on the tight end list leading in. So Brock Wright, he's banged up. So Brock Wright might be the one to pick up there.
Yeah, but I would say go find somebody like Colby Parkinson or whatever.
Alan Lazard is lighting it up with Aaron Rodgers doing better than Garrett Wilson is. So if Lazard is still out there, but back to Juwan Jennings, he was available in almost 40% of leagues, which blew my mind that more people didn't pick him up because they were playing the Rams, who had a horrible defense, even though the Rams ended up winning that game. So waiver claims tonight, get him in there. Be careful with any fab money that you're spending. The only one I would really go high on, if he's there for another week, and you mentioned McConkey as an example, Jennings doesn't have long season. But if you're desperate for a win, you might want to pay up for Jennings.
Yeah, absolutely. So any final thoughts this week, Steve, on overall, like you said, this is not going to be a great offensive week. So you've got to really kind of plumb the depths for those matchups.
The Bills-Ravens game doesn't have a high point total.
I bet you that actually goes over.
I do
too.
Think. Yeah. And if you bet like that, I would bet the over on that one. Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level. He's done that before, and he always has a game where he kind of comes back down.
James Cook's fantastic.
James Cook is great.
No, it's not James Tiberius Kirk. I know our nerd shows sometimes.
Coleman got a touchdown this past week. So he's spreading
That's
the
another
ball.
one of my sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So he's spreading it around. They look awesome. But Baltimore got their first win against Cowboys. That was another thing. It was weird to watch a Cowboy game with people that really didn't care about the Cowboys or were rooting against viciously as they were in that bar.
I've done it many times. I've done it many times. It's a weird thing. That one also, like, Jerry needs to know this. Look, saying that they couldn't afford 2 years and $16 million for Derrick Henry when they're paying Trey Lance $5 million guaranteed this year is outside reality.
Well, he mentioned the Trey Lance deal as part of the reason.
Well, the thing is, like, they make these deals, and then they don't, like, when they traded for Trey Lance, I was like, so. I mean, like, I didn't hate the idea of having a guy with that much potential, but it's like they were guarding against what they thought. I was like, well, this must mean that Dak is definitely going to leave. Like, they're out of him, and they're guarding against that possibility, but that was never going to happen. So now they're paying a guy $5 million a year to not even be active on game days or be the emergency quarterback and not count against the roster limit, right? So, you could have had Derrick Henry, and you don't. They created this cap. Here's the other thing. They also created the cap room with the CD and Dak deals of $26 million. Yeah. So if they had done that earlier, they could have done it. And people say, well, Derrick Henry wanted to go to Baltimore. He had two choices he wanted to go. He wanted to go to Baltimore or he wanted to go to Dallas. And he particularly really liked the idea of going to Dallas because that's where he fucking lives.
So
I mean,
here's my prediction for third. I think the Giants are going to win. I think they're going to rush for over 150 yards. So you mentioned Tyrone Tracy. Neighbors should have a good game. Yeah. Everything's just in disarray around the Cowboys.
I think the Cowboys will win this game because they own the Giants, Dak in particular. But
it's a different.
Because here's the other thing. Right when everybody's ready to kick dirt on the Cowboys is when they get the little adrenaline shot and win a game. So
I hope the Cowboys win, but my expectations are very low right now.
Here's my thing. If you are not, and this is my thing about the Cowboys, if you are not an NFC championship caliber or better team, if you are not contending for the Super Bowl, I would rather they fold the tent. I would rather them lose games and get a higher draft pick. And they're really good at drafting, except at defensive tackle apparently.
Yes, that's weird.
I asked Mickey Spagnuolo about that last week, and I said, what is it about that is like their blind spot? They just can't seem to get it right. I mean, they cheaped out on safeties for a long time. And then, they still kind of cheap out on safeties, but they hit the big time. Donovan Wilson has outperformed his draft spot. They got Malik Hooker off the scrap heap, who was a first-round pick, and they've been able to get them for budget. But, they draft great with cornerbacks. They're great with defensive ends. Linebacker's been a bit of a miss lately, but they're usually really good with that. It looks like they got a couple good ones in Overshown and Leofau, who are coming up. Offensive line, they don't really seem to have problems long-term with that. Most of it's just inexperience. Quarterback, they hit with Dak. Wide receiver, they seem to hit with most of the time. At least one, not two. Tight ends, they're just on a roll. But defensive tackle, they cannot evaluate that position. They can't, through multiple coaches now. Multiple defensive line coaches, that's the one that gets them. That's the one where they're like, oh, Mod, look at this video on Instagram of Mozzie Smith jumping up some stairs. That's our guy. That wasn't he wasn't tackling the goddamn stairs. He was just jumping up them. So anyway, that's going to do it for us. That's our time. This is That Damn Fantasy Show. Thank you so much to Garrett Ross, our producer, and thanks to Rogue Media. Thanks to 365 Sports. So long, everybody.